Edge has apparently said goodbye in his hometown of Toronto after his match with Sheamus. The Rated R superstar displayed great fighting spirit and a world-class ability few could match. As tough as it is, if Edge were to go out like this, it's a great end. Not in the sense of the occasion, because this was a random SmackDown, but the match quality. Few would come in the future like this, so it's understandable. He gave it his all, and Sheamus as his dance partner ensured this was going to be a classic. If it was Edge's last match, at least he ended things on his own terms. Last time around, he was deprived of his own retirement due to a nagging neck injury in 2011, which derailed his plans. He wanted to go out at WrestleMania 28 with Christian taking over from there, but instead he retired, and it all felt so lukewarm due to the situation because he was so close to ending things on his own terms. If Edge did retire here, it's a bit tough, I'm not gonna lie. I had all kinds of expectations for his run, some are pretty delusional, but Edge did make good on facing young talent. He had some very strange matches. Strange because of the opponents, not the match type or anything like that. I never really thought Austin Theory or even Grayson Waller would face him. They feel like they're from two totally different universes. Edge was facing the likes of Mark Merrow and Vader, yet also has matches with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I do wish he won the world title at least once to officially close that book and actually lose the belt. We always say so-and-so deserves a run, but at the end of the day, I think about it, it's Edge. A man that defined a generation with sex and violence. Brock, Triple H, Rock, even Goldberg had a run, yet the part-timer that competed most was empty-handed, and with regards to stories about the championship, he had the most captivating. It's tough, almost unfulfilling, but I'm sure he sees it differently because he was lucky to return, let alone feud with the likes of Randy Orton and Seth Rollins on the biggest stage. His perspective is definitely different. Edge's career has been a wild roller coaster. He debuted as a loner who had a mysterious goal, roaming through the streets at night, and was very charismatic. Edge didn't talk, but he already had this coolness about him that would be exploited in the next couple of years. A part of one of the most iconic groups of the Attitude Era, the Brood, Edge's star factor showed more. In ring, he was one of the most exciting wrestlers, but outside, that cool element increased tenfold. He was the star of the Brood. The faction didn't last, and it gave way to Edge and Christian. This tag team propelled both men to greater heights, and they showed a comedic side which was definitely appreciated and complemented an already stacked roster. Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys revolutionized the ladder match and created a new subsection of wrestling with the advent of the TLC match. Fun times indeed, but Edge's true calling was to be a single star. It was always his destiny since the day he debuted. He already established himself as one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time within 2 years, yet he wasn't even close to his prime. For as much success as Edge found in 2001 and 2002, he was slowly piling up some injuries stemming from those chaotic TLC matches, and it came at the worst time because he was on an upward trajectory. We'll never know what would have came out of his time on SmackDown, but perhaps the injury was a blessing in disguise because with resentment from the fans, the whole Matt Hardy incident, he became the Rated R superstar and unlocked an entirely different side of Edge. A sleazy heel who had no boundaries. He was pimping his girl, hitting others with a concerto, and he was a fresh heel compared to the likes of JBL and Triple H. Why? Because Edge had this style about him. This character change brought him 10 world championships. He was seen as Mr. Reliable, the guy to take over SmackDown whenever there was problems, and he established himself as one of these standouts of his era. Up to 2011, from the guys that came up in that era, only John Cena held the title more than Edge, and that's what makes his retirement in 2011 bittersweet. This man had finally clicked as a babyface and was potentially going to win more titles later on, but he had to retire. It took a lot away from him. A return seemed nigh impossible, and everyone never really thought of a potential comeback. So when he did come back, it felt like a little too strange. Like Edge teleported into an entirely different era. Yeah, he was facing the likes of Randy Orton, but the atmosphere and the vibe made him feel out of place initially. I was very appreciative of his return. I didn't really take it for granted because somebody with a history like Edge's, any match could be his last. We were lucky to see him return at the Rumble, yet he was appearing on Raw more often than the other part-timers. At the end of the day, it was a bonus run. Yeah, sure, things could have gone down a bit better than they did, but there wasn't much barring a world title reign that would add to Edge's legacy. Like, regardless of his feuds with Roman and Seth, it wasn't a run, keyword run, I'm not talking about the return, it wasn't a run that if removed would make his career incomplete. It was a case of Edge being happy to be back, and if he were to go out as he did last week, it was a great way. Edge's legacy has an official close and a proper ending, unlike his premature retirement in 2011. Will I miss Edge if he officially retires? Yes. His presence felt like a throwback to the era I grew up watching. Him, Randy, Ray, and Cena are some of the only men that actively wrestle, and that's slowly changing. It's a tough pill to swallow. On the other side, we don't want a Ric Flair situation, so regardless of whether or not this was Edge's last match, I'm sure he's going to hang up his boots within the next 2 years. I actually have Edge in my top 10 favorite wrestlers. Why? He had a strong combination of promo ability, ring ability, and charisma. There's not an area where Edge is the very best. Hogan has the best charisma, as does Rock. Dusty has the promo, as does Austin. Randy Savage has the ring skills, as does HBK. But the Rated R superstar compensates greatly with being great in all areas, which is something very few wrestlers in history have. He also showed to be an even better babyface with the second run. And that alone is tough to master, the ability to switch roles and work well. Edge was so good as a heel in the 2000s, it felt almost unimaginable uncomfortable to see him in the opposite role again. Nowadays, he can't be a proper heel because 9 times out of 10, it feels unnatural. There's no glaring weakness with him. He even had enough drawing power in the mid to late 2000s as a fresh main eventer. SmackDown basically fell off when he left. WWE prioritized it less. The whole point of this video is to talk about the effect of Edge in my life and in general. He's easily one of the best of his era and amongst the most gifted as well. I've heard rumors of a potential debut in AEW, but only time will tell. But if Edge ended it here, he had a great run. Alright, what did you guys think of Edge's return? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the execution of the like button and perhaps the spear on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.